First contact at Station Harmony. The space station floated in the darkness between stars like a giant spinning wheel. Lights blinked on its surface. Ships came and went from its many docking ports. This was Station Harmony, the meeting place for all the species of the Galactic Council. Here, beings from 100 different worlds gathered to trade, talk, and make peace. Today was special. Today, a new species would join them. David Park stood at the window of his ship and watched the station grow larger. He was a tall man with calm eyes and a patient smile. Behind him, his team prepared for the most important moment in human history. They were about to meet aliens for the first time. "Are you nervous?" Grace Kim asked. She was younger than David, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She served as his assistant and advisor. David thought about it. "A little," he admitted, "but mostly excited. We've been alone in the universe for so long. Now we know we're not." Michael Lee walked over to join them. He was built like a soldier because he was one. His job was to keep the delegation safe. "Station control says we can dock in 10 minutes. They seem friendly enough. Let's hope they stay that way," Grace said. The ship docked with a soft bump. The doors opened, and the humans stepped onto Station Harmony for the first time. The air smelled different here, filtered and recycled by machines. The hallway was wide enough for creatures of many sizes. The walls curved gently, painted in soft colors. A group of aliens waited to greet them. David had seen pictures, but pictures did not prepare him for the real thing. The Volari looked like giant insects, standing on 4 legs with 2 more arms folded in front. Their eyes were large and dark, and their antennae moved constantly. The Moravians were stranger still. They looked like living crystals, their bodies made of blue and purple stone that somehow moved and breathed. Behind them stood others, shapes that David could not easily describe. The lead Volari stepped forward. When it spoke, a small device on its chest translated the clicks and buzzes into English. "Welcome to Station Harmony. I am Ambassador Thrix of the Volari Collective. On behalf of the Galactic Council, we greet you." David bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Ambassador. I am David Park, representing the United Nations of Earth. We are honored to be here." The next hour was filled with formal greetings and introductions. David met representatives from 12 different species. He learned their names and tried to pronounce them correctly. He smiled and shook hands, or touched tentacles, or bowed, depending on what each culture preferred. Finally, they gathered in a large conference room. The furniture had been adjusted so that humans could sit comfortably. Drinks were offered, though David politely refused anything his team had not tested first. Ambassador Thrix leaned forward, antennae twitching with curiosity. "We know so little about your people. Please, tell us about your homeworld. What is Earth like?" This was the question David had expected. He had prepared a long speech about Earth's beauty, its oceans and forests, its diverse cultures. But Grace caught his eye and smiled, and suddenly David felt playful. "Earth," he said, "is classified as a death world, Class 12. The room went silent. David watched the aliens' reactions with hidden amusement. The Volari's antennae went flat against its head. The Moravian's crystal body flickered with strange colors. A small furry creature at the end of the table made a sound like a broken engine. "I am sorry," Thrix said slowly. "The translator must have made an error. Did you say Class 12? "That's correct," Grace said cheerfully. "Class 12, sometimes Class 13, depending on the season and which continent you're on." The Moravian ambassador, a being called Crystal X, rose from its seat. "This cannot be true. No spacefaring species has ever evolved on a world above Class 4. The conditions would be too harsh. Life could not develop intelligence under such pressure." "And yet," Michael said, crossing his arms, "here we are." "You must explain," Thrix demanded. What makes your world so dangerous? David nodded to Grace, who activated a small projector. An image of Earth appeared, floating above the table. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. It looked peaceful. Let's start with the basics, Grace said. 71% of our planet is covered in water. Not just any water, but dihydrogen monoxide. It's a universal solvent. It can dissolve almost anything, given enough time. Your planet is covered in acid. A small alien squeaked. We drink it, Michael said. Every day. We need it to survive. The alien stared. Grace continued. Our atmosphere contains oxygen. About 21%. It's highly reactive and corrosive. Long ago, when oxygen first appeared in our air, it killed almost everything on the planet. We call it the Great Oxidation Event. You breathe poison, Crystal X whispered. It keeps us alive, David said. We would die without it. The ground is not safe either, Grace said. Earth's crust is broken into large pieces called tectonic plates. They move and crash into each other. This causes earthquakes that can destroy entire cities. It also creates volcanoes that spray molten rock into the air. Your planet is falling apart, Thrix said, horrified. It's been doing that for 4 billion years, David said. We're used to it. Grace pulled up more images. The temperature on Earth ranges from -89 degrees to +57 degrees. We have storms that spin at hundreds of kilometers per hour. We have floods, droughts, and wildfires. The climate can change suddenly, freezing entire continents or turning forests into deserts. And the life, Michael added darkly. Don't forget the life. Ah, yes, Grace said. Earth has millions of species. Many of them are predators. They hunt and eat each other constantly. Even the smallest creatures can kill. We have bacteria and viruses that have wiped out millions of humans throughout history. Every few million years, David said, something happens that kills most life on the planet. Asteroid impacts, supervolcano eruptions, ice ages. We call them extinction events. There have been 5 major ones. We are probably overdue for another. The room was completely silent. Thrix looked like it might faint. Crystal X's glow had dimmed to almost nothing. How? Thrix finally asked, Are you still alive? David smiled. It was not a gentle smile. It was the smile of a species that had fought its own planet for millions of years and won. We're stubborn, he said. Very, very stubborn. A small alarm beeped. One of the furry aliens had collapsed. Medical teams rushed in. The meeting was paused while doctors checked on the fallen delegate. David stood by the window, looking out at the stars. Grace joined him. I think we scared them, she said quietly. Good, David replied. Better they understand what we are from the beginning. We're not like them. We never will be. Do you think they'll still want us in their council? David watched the ship drift past the station, its lights blinking softly. They invited us because they thought we might be useful. Now they're starting to realize just how useful we might be. Grace nodded slowly. A species forged by a death world. What could we possibly be afraid of? Nothing, David said. Absolutely nothing. Behind them, the aliens whispered to each other in worried voices. They had expected to meet simple newcomers, happy to join their peaceful civilization. Instead, they had met something else entirely. They had met humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. The impossible origin. 3 days had passed since the first meeting. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session. Scientists from dozens of worlds gathered in the largest research center on Station Harmony. They demanded proof. They demanded data. They refused to believe that any intelligent species could evolve on a death world. Dr. Emily Cho stood before them, calm and confident. She was humanity's top xenobiologist, a scientist who studied alien life. Now she had the strange job of explaining human life to aliens. "I understand your doubt," she said. "If I were in your position, I would doubt it too. So let me show you the evidence." She activated the main display. Earth appeared again, but this time with layers of data floating around it. Numbers, graphs, measurements. The aliens leaned forward, their scientific minds hungry for information. "Let's start with gravity," Emily said. "Earth's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. I understand this is considered quite strong by galactic standards." A thin, serpentine alien named Slicks raised its head. "It is nearly double the average for inhabited worlds. How do you walk without being crushed?" "Our bones are dense," Emily explained. "Our muscles are strong. We evolved under this gravity, so it feels normal to us. In fact, many humans enjoy activities that increase gravitational force. We spin in circles, we ride roller coasters, we jump from high places. For entertainment?" Slicks asked, confused. "For fun," Emily confirmed. She moved to the next data point. "Now, let's discuss atmospheric pressure. Earth's atmosphere presses down on us with a force of about 101 kilopascals at sea level. Our bodies are built to withstand this constant pressure. When we travel to high altitudes where the pressure is lower, we can become sick. You are pressure vessels," Crystal X observed, "designed to contain internal forces that would rupture most organisms." "That's one way to put it," Emily agreed. Captain James Yoon entered the room and stood beside Emily. He was a military man, tall and proud, with the easy confidence of someone who had faced danger many times. "May I add something?" he asked. Emily nodded. James stepped forward. "You keep asking how we survived on Earth, but you're missing the point. We didn't just survive. We conquered. Every environment, every challenge, we overcame it." He pulled up new images. Humans in thick suits walking on frozen ice. Humans in light clothes crossing burning deserts. Humans swimming in deep oceans. Humans climbing impossible mountains. "These are some of the most hostile places on our planet," James said. "Places that should kill anyone who enters. But humans go there willingly. Sometimes for resources. Sometimes for science. Sometimes just to prove we can." "This is madness," Thrix whispered. "This is humanity," James replied. Emily took control again. "Let me tell you about some of the creatures we share our planet with. Perhaps this will help you understand our nature." She showed them images of Earth's predators. Lions with their powerful jaws. Sharks gliding through dark water. Bears standing tall on their back legs. Wolves hunting in packs. Crocodiles wading in rivers like living traps. "These are called apex predators," Emily said. "They are at the top of their food chains. They have no natural enemies except each other. And humans," James added. "We hunt all of them." "But you are so small," Slick said. "So soft. No claws, no armor, no venom." Emily smiled. "We don't need those things. We have something better. We have minds that solve problems. We have hands that build tools. We have voices that coordinate attacks. Alone, a human is weak. Together, we are the most dangerous predators our planet has ever produced." She showed them images of early humans hunting woolly mammoths, giant creatures that towered over them. She showed them humans driving predators away from their territory, claiming land for themselves. "Every species on Earth learned to fear us," Emily said. "Not because we are the strongest or the fastest, but because we never stop. We never give up. We track prey for days until it collapses from exhaustion. We plan and prepare and adapt. We turn every disadvantage into a weapon." Thrix's antennae twitched nervously. "What about disease?" You mentioned bacteria and viruses. Ah, yes, Emily said, her voice growing more serious. This is perhaps the most impressive part of our evolution. Our immune systems are incredibly complex. Every day, our bodies fight off millions of potential infections. We are constantly at war inside ourselves, and we don't even notice. She showed them microscopic images. White blood cells attacking invaders. Antibodies hunting down viruses. The constant battlefield inside every human body. When a disease does get through, Emily continued, our bodies remember it. We develop immunity. We pass this knowledge to our children. We even learn to create artificial immunity through something called vaccines. You train your bodies to fight enemies they have never seen, Crystalex said slowly. You prepare for wars that may never come. Exactly, Emily said. We are always ready. Always fighting. It's how we survived. James pulled up one final image. It was a simple photograph of a human family. Parents and children smiling at the camera. Look at them, he said. They seem soft, don't they? Harmless. But inside each of them is the legacy of millions of years of survival. Their ancestors fought ice ages and plagues and predators. Their ancestors crossed oceans and climbed mountains and tamed fire itself. He turned to face the assembled aliens directly. Every human alive today is descended from winners, from survivors, from the ones who were too stubborn to die. That stubbornness is in our blood, in our bones, in our very souls. The room was silent for a long moment. Finally, a small round alien near the back raised a tentacle. I have a question. Yes? Emily said. If your world is so dangerous, why do you stay? Why not find a safer planet? Emily and James looked at each other. They both smiled. Because Earth is home, Emily said simply. We love it. All its dangers, all its beauty, all its challenges. It made us who we are. Why would we leave? Besides, James added, after Earth, everywhere else seems boring. The scientists continued their questions for hours. They analyzed every piece of data, tested every claim, checked every number. By the end, there was no room for doubt. The humans were telling the truth. They really had evolved on a death world, and somehow, impossibly, they had not only survived but thrived on as the session ended. Crystalex approached Emily privately. The Moravian's crystal body flickered with colors Emily was learning to read as emotion. I must ask, Crystalex said quietly. Are there others like you? Other Death World species? Emily shook her head. Not that we know of. The galaxy seems to have only produced one. That is perhaps for the best, Crystalex said. One is quite enough. Emily laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. She walked back to her quarters, thinking about everything she had shared. The aliens knew the truth now. They knew what humanity was capable of. The question was, what would they do with that knowledge? Only time would tell. The revelation of human nature. 2 weeks had passed. The human delegation had settled into a routine on Station Harmony. They attended meetings, answered questions, and slowly began to form friendships with the curious aliens around them. But every day brought new moments of shock and confusion. The aliens could not understand humans at all. It started with small things. Lieutenant Rachel Huang worked in engineering, helping the station's technicians understand human technology. One morning, she walked into the shared cafeteria and ordered breakfast. The other species watched in horror as she began to eat. What is that? A Valari technician asked, pointing at her plate with a trembling claw. Rachel looked down. Eggs and toast. And some hot sauce. Hot sauce? It's made from peppers, capsicum. They contain a chemical called capsaicin. Rachel took a big bite and smiled. It adds flavor. The technician's translator buzzed. Capsaicin. Checking database. A pause. This substance is classified as a chemical weapon. It causes extreme pain in most species. It is used for pest control on 17 worlds. Rachel shrugged. We put it on everything. Pizza, tacos, soup. Some people even add it to chocolate. The Valari technician backed away slowly. Other aliens in the cafeteria suddenly lost their appetites. Later that day, Michael Lee was exercising in one of the recreation areas. A group of aliens gathered to watch, fascinated by his strange movements. What is he doing? Slicks asked Grace, who was reading nearby. Push-ups, Grace said, without looking up. Then he'll do sit-ups, pull-ups, and probably run for 30 minutes. But why? Is he injured? Is he trying to heal? No, he's getting stronger. Humans need regular exercise to maintain our bodies. If we don't use our muscles, they shrink. So we challenge them constantly. You deliberately cause stress to your own bodies, Slick said, trying to understand. You create small damages so you can heal stronger. Grace smiled. That's exactly right. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. We really believe that. Michael finished his push-ups and started doing something even stranger. He had found a bar mounted on the wall and was hanging from it, pulling himself up again and again. He is fighting the artificial gravity, Crystal X observed, using his own weight as resistance. We do this for fun, Grace said. Some humans spend hours every day in places called gyms, just lifting heavy things and putting them down again. Your species is insane, Slicks concluded. Probably, Grace agreed cheerfully. The following week brought more incidents. Daniel Kang, a young petty officer, became a legend on the station after a small emergency that had happened during the night shift. A micrometeorite had struck one of the outer sections, creating a tiny hole in the hull. Air began to leak out. Alarms screamed. Every alien in the section ran for the emergency exits. Following their training, Daniel ran the other way. He grabbed an emergency kit and sprinted toward the breach. The air grew thin. The temperature dropped. His skin burned with the cold. He could feel his ears popping as the pressure fell. But he did not stop. He reached the breach and slapped a patch over it. The seal was not perfect. He pressed his bare hands against it, holding it in place while the emergency systems kicked in. Frost formed on his fingers. His lungs ached for air. 30 seconds later, backup power restored pressure to the section. Repair robots arrived to make a permanent fix. Daniel stepped back, his hands red and damaged, his breath coming in painful gasps. You saved this section, a Moravian engineer said, its crystal body pulsing with amazement. You ran toward the vacuum. Someone had to, Daniel said. But the danger, the cold, the pressure loss, any of those could have killed you. Daniel looked at his frostbitten hands. The medical team was already approaching with treatment. I knew the risks. I did the math. I had about 40 seconds before the damage became permanent. That was enough time. You calculated your own death and decided to race against it, the Moravian whispered. That's what humans do, Daniel said simply. Word spread across the station. The Deathworlders did not just come from a dangerous planet. They carried that danger inside themselves. They ran toward problems, not away from them. They treated risk as a calculation, not a fear. Perhaps most disturbing were the casual revelations about human recreation. David Park was attending a diplomatic dinner when the topic of hobbies came up. Each species shared what they did for relaxation. The Valari practiced meditation. The Moravians studied mathematics. The Slicks created complex songs. And what do humans do? Thrix asked politely. David thought about it. Many things. We read, we make art, we play games. Some of us climb mountains. Mountains? The large geological formations created by tectonic activity? Yes, We climb them. The bigger, the better. Thrix waited for more explanation. None came. Why? Thrix finally asked. Because they're there, David said. It was an old answer, given by a famous climber long ago, but it was still the best one. Grace added more examples. Humans also jump out of aircraft for fun. We call it skydiving. We fall through the atmosphere at high speed, then open a fabric sheet to slow down before we hit the ground. You fall from the sky, Crystal X said flatly. Voluntarily, Grace confirmed. We also surf, which means riding on top of massive waves of water. We box, which means hitting each other with our fists. We race vehicles at dangerous speeds. We dive deep into the ocean where the pressure could crush us. Everything you do sounds like a way to die, Thrix observed. That's what makes it exciting, James Yoon said, joining the conversation. Life without risk is boring. We need challenges. We need to push our limits. We need to feel alive. The aliens had no response to this. Their civilizations had spent thousands of years reducing risk, creating safe and stable societies. The idea of seeking danger was completely foreign to them, but as they watched the humans over the following days, they began to understand something important. The humans were not reckless. They were not foolish. Every risk they took was calculated, prepared for, managed with skill and experience. They climbed mountains with proper equipment. They skydived with backup parachutes. They fought in controlled environments with rules and referees. They were not running blindly toward death. They were dancing with it. Emily Cho explained it best during a quiet conversation with Crystal X. On Earth, danger is everywhere, she said. We cannot avoid it. So we learn to master it instead. We study risks. We prepare for them. We train ourselves to react properly when things go wrong. And yes, sometimes we seek out small dangers deliberately, just to keep our skills sharp. You practice for catastrophe, Crystal X said. Every single day. That's why Daniel ran toward the breach. That's why Michael exercises constantly. That's why we eat capsaicin and climb mountains and jump from the sky. We are preparing for the moment when preparation is the only thing between us and death. Crystal X was silent for a long time. Finally, it spoke. I am beginning to understand why your species survived. Oh? Emily said. You did not hide from death. You did not run from it. You made it your training partner. You sparred with it daily. And when real danger came, you were ready. Emily nodded. That's exactly right. It is terrifying, Crystal X admitted, but also impressive. Very impressive. Emily smiled. That's humanity in a nutshell. Terrifying and impressive, usually at the same time. The days continued to pass. More humans arrived on the station as the diplomatic relationship developed. Each one brought new stories, new skills, new demonstrations of what Death World evolution could produce. The aliens watched and learned, and slowly grew accustomed to their strange new neighbors. But deep down, they never stopped being a little bit afraid. And perhaps that was wise, because the humans were just getting started. The Raxian threat, the Raxian Dominion, had terrorized the galaxy for 300 years. They were conquerors, slavers, and destroyers. Their massive warships traveled from system to system, taking what they wanted and crushing anyone who resisted. The Galactic Council had learned long ago that fighting the Raxians was pointless. When the Dominion demanded tribute, the Council paid. When the Dominion wanted slaves, the Council provided them. It was shameful, but it was survival. Ambassador Thrix had never spoken openly about this arrangement. It was too embarrassing, too painful. But the humans would find out eventually. They found out on a Tuesday. The alarm started at dawn. Red lights flashed throughout station harmony. Warning messages blared from every speaker. David Park ran to the command center, still pulling on his jacket. "What's happening?" he demanded. Thrix stood at the main display, antennae flat with fear. On the screen, a fleet of ships approached the station. They were huge, dark, covered in weapons. "The Raxian Dominion," Thrix said. 47 battle cruisers. "They are here for their annual tribute." "Tribute?" Michael Lee asked, arriving behind David. "We pay them to leave us alone," Thrix admitted. "Resources, technology, sometimes people. It is the only way to survive." David watched the approaching fleet. The ships were impressive, built for intimidation. Each one was covered in spikes and blades, designed to look terrifying. "How long have you been paying them?" he asked. "Since before my species joined the council." "Hundreds of years. And nobody has ever fought back?" Thrix made a strange sound, something like bitter laughter. "Fight the Raxians? They would destroy us. Their weapons are powerful. Their soldiers are brutal. Every species that resisted was wiped out completely. We learned our lesson." David turned to look at his team. Michael stood ready, his hand near his sidearm. James Yoon had arrived, his face hard and angry. Grace was already working at a console, gathering information. "How many humans are on the station right now?" David asked. 83, Grace reported. "Plus the crews of our 2 destroyers in dock." "2 destroyers," Thrix said. "Against 47 battle cruisers." "Ambassador, please. Do not do anything foolish. We will pay the tribute. The Raxians will leave. This is how it has always been." A communication channel opened. A face appeared on the screen. The Raxian commander was large and scaled, with small eyes full of cruelty. Scars covered its face, trophies from past battles. "Council slaves," the commander growled. "Prepare our tribute. We want double the usual amount. We have heard you have new friends. We want some of them too." The channel closed. Thrix turned to David. "You see? They already know about you. They want humans as slaves. Please, Ambassador, let us handle this. Give them what they want." David's expression did not change, but something in his eyes went cold. "No," he said. "Ambassador, no." David's voice was calm, but absolutely final. "Humanity does not pay tribute. Humanity does not provide slaves. And humanity does not surrender to bullies." He turned to James. "Captain Yoon, what are our options?" James was already studying the tactical display. "Their ships are big but slow. Designed to intimidate, not to fight. I'm guessing they haven't had a real battle in generations. Can we win?" James smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Yes." Thrix could not believe what he was hearing. "This is madness. You cannot fight 47 ships with 2. "We don't need to fight all of them," James said. "We just need to break them. Make them afraid. Make them run." Michael nodded. "Deathworlders, remember? We've been fighting superior forces our entire evolutionary history. This is what we do." David looked at the alien ambassadors gathered in the command center. They were terrified, frozen, unable to comprehend what was happening. "Stay here," David told them. "Keep the station safe. We'll handle the Raxians." He walked toward the docking bay. His team followed. On the human destroyer Resolute, Commander Jessica Nam was already preparing for battle. She was a small woman with quick hands and quicker reflexes. Her crew moved around her in perfect coordination, each person knowing exactly what to do. "Captain Yoon," she said as James came aboard. "I assume we're not surrendering." "You assume correctly. How fast can we launch?" 5 minutes. "The Valor is ready too." James took his position. Throughout the ship, humans strapped themselves into acceleration couches. They had trained for this moment. High-gravity maneuvers, extreme acceleration, Combat situations that would kill any other species. The two human destroyers launched from the station. On the Raxian flagship, the commander watched with amusement. "Two small ships," he laughed. "The new species is stupid. Kill them quickly. I want to see what their meat tastes like." The Raxian fleet opened fire. Space lit up with energy weapons. The attack was overwhelming, filling the void with deadly light. But the human ships were not there anymore. Jessica had pushed the Resolute into a maneuver that should have been impossible. The ship twisted, spun, and accelerated at forces that would have liquefied any alien crew. But the humans held on, their evolved bodies resisting the crushing pressure. The Resolute shot through a gap in the Raxian formation and opened fire on the flagship's engines. The Valor hit it from the other side. "Target their weapons," James ordered. "Make them blind." The human ships danced through the Raxian fleet like predators among prey. They were smaller, faster, more agile. Their crews could withstand accelerations that the Raxians could not match. Every time the Dominion ships tried to target them, they were already gone. The Raxian commander roared with fury. "Send boarding parties. Take those ships." Assault pods launched from a dozen Raxian vessels. They clamped onto the Resolute's hull and burned through. Raxian soldiers poured into the human ship, expecting easy prey. They found Sergeant Tommy Park waiting for them. Tommy led a squad of 12 Marines. They wore simple armor and carried weapons designed for close combat. They had trained for boarding actions their entire careers. The Raxians were bigger. They had better weapons. They outnumbered the humans 3-1. It did not matter. The humans fought with a ferocity the Raxians had never encountered. They did not hesitate. They did not show fear. They moved through the corridors like ghosts, using every shadow, every corner, every advantage. A Raxian soldier cornered Tommy in a narrow passage. It raised its weapon, certain of victory. Tommy broke its arm, took the weapon, and shot 3 more Raxians before they could react. "Why are you?" The first Raxian gasped, cradling its shattered limb. "Human," Tommy said. "Death World Class 12. Remember that." He left the Raxian alive. He wanted it to tell the others. Throughout the fleet, the battle raged. The human destroyers continued their impossible dance, striking and retreating, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. More boarding parties tried to take them. More boarding parties failed. After 13 minutes, it was over. The Raxian flagship was crippled, its engines destroyed, its weapons silent. Half the fleet had taken damage. The rest were scattering, fleeing in all directions. The commander's face appeared on screen again. But this time, he was not laughing. "What are you?" he demanded. James smiled. "We're the new neighbors, and we don't like bullies." "This is not over," the commander snarled. "The Dominion will return. We will bring 1,000 ships. We will burn your worlds." "You're welcome to try," James said. "But I should warn you, this was just 2 ships. We have thousands more back home. And our whole planet is a death world. We've been fighting since before your species existed." The channel closed. The Raxian fleet limped away into the darkness. They did not look back. On Station Harmony, the aliens watched in stunned silence. They had just witnessed the impossible. 2 ships against 47. 13 minutes of battle. Complete victory. Ambassador Thrix found David at the observation window, watching the last Raxian ships disappear. "How?" Thrix asked simply. David turned to face the alien. "We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've studied every tactic, every strategy, every possible advantage. And our bodies are built for violence. Fast reflexes, high endurance, the ability to function under extreme stress. You were never afraid," Thrix said. "Not even for a moment." David thought about it. "We were afraid. But we didn't let it stop us. That's the human way. Feel the fear, then do what needs to be done anyway. The station erupted in celebration. For the first time in centuries, someone had defeated the Raxians. The bullies of the galaxy had finally met something they could not defeat. They had met humanity. A new era 1 month had passed since the Battle of Station Harmony. The news had spread across the galaxy like fire. Every species, every world, every outpost knew the story. 2 human ships had destroyed a Raxian fleet. The Dominion had retreated for the first time in 300 years. Everything had changed. The Galactic Council called for a special assembly. Representatives came from worlds that had never sent delegates before. Ships filled every docking port. The corridors of Station Harmony were crowded with beings of every shape and size. They all wanted to see the humans. Ambassador David Park stood before the Great Assembly. Behind him, his team watched proudly. Grace, Michael, Emily, James, Rachel, Daniel, Jessica, Tommy, and dozens of others. Ordinary humans who had done extraordinary things. The High Speaker of the Valari, the oldest and most respected voice on the council, rose to address the gathering. "We have come together to witness something unprecedented," the High Speaker said. "A new species has joined our community. In a single month, they have changed our understanding of what is possible." The assembly murmured in agreement. When the humans first arrived, we pitied them. They came from a death world, a planet so dangerous that survival seemed like a miracle. We assumed they were lucky primitives who had somehow escaped their hostile environment. The High Speaker's antennae twitched with something like embarrassment. We were wrong. We were very, very wrong. Images appeared on the great display. The human ships dancing through the Raxian fleet. Sergeant Park's Marines fighting in the corridors. The crippled Dominion flagship limping away in defeat. The humans did not escape their death world, the High Speaker continued. They were forged by it. Every challenge, every danger, every near extinction made them stronger. They evolved to survive the impossible. And when they finally reached the stars, they brought that strength with them. David listened quietly. He was uncomfortable with praise. He and his people had simply done what needed to be done. That was all. The High Speaker turned to face him directly. "Ambassador Park, we have a question for you. Perhaps the most important question our council has ever asked." "Yes?" David said. "Will humanity help us?" The assembly fell silent. Every eye, every sensor, every attention was focused on David. "For centuries," the High Speaker continued, "we have lived in fear. The Raxian Dominion, pirates and raiders, hostile forces beyond our borders. We survived by hiding, by paying tribute, by hoping the danger would pass us by." The old Valari's voice grew stronger. "But now we have seen another way. Your way, standing tall against threats, fighting back against those who would harm us, refusing to surrender even when the odds seem hopeless. We have been weak," Crystal X added. "We evolved on gentle worlds with stable climates and few predators. We never learned to fight. We never needed to." "But you did," Slick said. "Your death world taught you lessons we never learned. Courage, determination, the will to survive against any enemy." David looked at his team. They nodded. "You're asking if we'll protect you," David said. "Yes," the High Speaker confirmed. "We are asking if humanity will stand with us, fight for us, teach us how to be strong." David thought about his answer carefully. The humans had not come to the stars looking for dependence. They had come looking for friends, for trade partners, for a larger community to join. But perhaps some things were more important. "On Earth," David began, "we have many different nations, many different cultures. We fought each other for thousands of years. Wars, conflicts, endless violence. But we also learned something important. We learned that cooperation is stronger than competition. We learned that protecting the weak makes everyone safer. We learned that the best way to have friends is to be a friend. He stepped forward, looking out at the assembled species. Humanity will not be your masters. We will not rule you or demand tribute or treat you as servants. That is not who we are. Relief washed through the assembly. But we will be your allies, David continued. Your partners. Your friends. If you are threatened, we will stand with you. If you are attacked, we will fight beside you. Not because we want power, but because it is right. He smiled, and it was the warm smile of a friend offering his hand. You asked how we survived our death world. The answer is simple. We helped each other. When times were hard, we worked together. When danger came, we protected our families, our tribes, our nations. That instinct to defend, to sacrifice, to stand between loved ones and harm. That is what made us strong. Grace stepped forward to stand beside him. We don't want your gratitude or your worship. We just want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. A community of worlds working together, helping each other grow. Michael joined them. And if anyone threatens that community, they'll have to go through us first. The assembly was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the applause began. It started with the Volari, their multiple hands clapping together. The Moravians pulsed with bright colors. The Slicks raised their voices in song. Species that had never shown emotion before found ways to express their joy. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was offered a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. Not a junior position, not a provisional membership, but a full and equal voice in the governance of the galaxy. David accepted on behalf of Earth. In the weeks that followed, changes came quickly. Human military advisors began training alien forces in tactics and combat. Human engineers shared technology for stronger ships and better weapons. Human doctors taught alien species how to treat injuries and fight diseases. But more than anything, humans taught courage. They taught the Volari that fear was natural, but should never be obeyed. They taught the Moravians that flexibility was a strength, not a weakness. They taught 100 species that standing up to bullies was always the right choice. The Raxian Dominion tested them once. A small raiding force attacked a colony on the edge of council space, hoping to prove that the humans' victory had been luck. A single human frigate responded. The raiding force was destroyed in 4 minutes. The Dominion never returned. Years passed. The galaxy transformed. Trade routes expanded. New worlds were settled. Species that had hidden in fear began to explore again. The darkness that had hung over civilization for centuries slowly lifted, and at the center of it all were the humans. Not rulers, not conquerors, just friends who happened to come from a world that had tried to kill them every single day. Ambassador Thrix, now old and gray, often sat with David in the observation lounge. They had become close friends over the years. "Do you ever wonder?" Thrix asked one evening. "What would have happened if your species had evolved on a gentler world?" David considered the question. "Sometimes. Maybe we would have been like you. Peaceful, contemplative, afraid of conflict. Would that have been better?" David looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human explorers were mapping new systems. Human soldiers were guarding the borders. Human scientists were unlocking the secrets of the universe. "No," he said finally. "I don't think so. Our world was hard, but it made us who we are. It gave us the strength to help others. It taught us that adversity builds character." Thrix nodded slowly. "When we first met, I thought your planet was a curse. And now? Now I think it was a gift. A terrible, painful, beautiful gift. The galaxy needed you. It needed beings who could face the darkness without flinching. And your death world provided them. David smiled. Class 12. Maybe Class 13 on a bad day. Thrix laughed, a sound that still surprised David after all these years. Valari were not supposed to laugh, but they had learned the habit from their human friends. Death World Class 12, Thrix repeated. And you said it like bragging. Because it was, David said. Every human alive carries millions of years of survival in their blood. We fought our way up from nothing on a planet that wanted us dead. We conquered every challenge, survived every disaster, overcame every extinction event. He turned to look at his old friend directly. When you ask where humanity comes from, you're asking about more than a location. You're asking about our identity, our history, our very souls. And the answer is simple. David stood and straightened his uniform, looking out at the stars that humanity now helped to protect. We come from a death world, and we're not ashamed of it. We're proud, because that death world made us strong enough to protect not just ourselves, but everyone. Thrix watched him for a moment, then nodded with deep respect. Then the galaxy is fortunate, the old Valari said, that Earth exists, and that humanity refused to die. David smiled. That's what we do best, he said. We refuse to die, and we help others do the same. Outside the window, a new day was dawning across the station. Ships arrived and departed. Beings of 100 species went about their lives in peace, all of them protected by the Death Worlders, all of them safe, because humanity had arrived. And somewhere, far across the stars, planet Earth continued its slow spin. Its volcanoes erupted. Its tectonic plates shifted. Its atmosphere crackled with storms. Its predators hunted. Its diseases evolved. Class 12. Maybe Class 13 on a bad day. And humanity smiled, because they would not have it any other way.